Hey, it's Barton, and we are going to have a quick session of notes about the domains of life. You should have had an introduction to this in the reading recently. So, what are the domains of life? Domains of life are really all about categorizing things to make them easier for us to remember, easier for us to identify quickly similarities and differences, and things like that. So, um, so let's talk about that. Real quickly, you might remember that there are two different types of cells. There are prokaryotes, like this here. They lack a nucleus. They have a single loop of DNA coiled in the interior and have relatively simple internal structures. Okay, those are prokaryotes. Eukaryotes contain a nucleus. They are much, much larger than prokaryotes. They have much more internal complexity, and most eukaryotes that we think of, at least, are multicellular. So, you are a eukaryote, and your dog is a eukaryote, and the lizards at the pet shop, and the plants in your yard, and the fungus that's growing in the dirt or whatever the case may be. Those are all eukaryotic organisms. So those are the two different cell types. And within those two cell types, we can categorize two we can categorize those two cell types into three domains. So if we imagine all life gets tossed into a giant bucket, all living organisms are in this bucket now. One side of the bucket, we are going to put the eukaryotes, and all eukaryotes have a nucleus, and all eukaryotic organisms belong to the domain eukarya. On the other side of the bucket, then, would be prokaryotes. All prokaryotes have no nucleus. Okay? Now we can further divide prokaryotes into archaea, and archaea are organisms, many of which live in really extreme environments. Deep sea underwater vents, around the rim of a volcano, in geysers, or methane seeps, like all kinds of just absolutely wild places archaea can live. Places that not long ago people thought life couldn't live at all. So they are particularly interesting. And then bacteria is the third domain of life. Bacteria live all around us. They live on you and in you. Blue-green algae are a type of bacteria that can photosynthesize. They're not actually algae, um, but actually a bacteria um, that can use the sun's light for energy. E. coli, you may have heard of, is a bacteria. Um, Botulism is a bacteria, and a lot of the things that salmonella, a lot of the things that we associate with food poisoning, a lot of things that can make you or I sick might be bacteria as well. That said, bacteria live on you and in you all of the time. Your gut is absolutely filled with them. No matter how many times you've been washing your hands are covered in them often. They just live there all the time. Now, there are some basic differences between archaea and bacteria. Primarily, uh, archaea have slightly different cell membrane and cell wall structures and slightly different DNA signatures. but they are very, very similar in many ways also. Now, we've got that bucket of life split into three categories. Those categories are eukarya, bacteria, and archaea. Eukarya are eukaryotic cells. All eukaryotic cells are in the domain eukarya. Bacteria and archaea are all prokaryotic cells that don't have a nucleus. Hopefully this is enough to just help you make sense of the domains of life. Pretty quick, simple. Maybe you got some notes from that as well. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Just reach out. Barton's out. I'll see you later.